Hey, warriors. Welcome to our Crucifixional live stream. Glad to have you beautiful people with us. Clearly, it's fun in here today. You know, we've been talking about that magical moment, New Year's Eve, when everyone sets everything anew. We put all these goals and what do we call them? Resolutions, things that we're going to do and be different. One of them, the number one, is the gym. We're going to shed them pounds. We're going to eat right and exercise every day. And we do. Usually, New Year's resolutions last. Most people, like literally the number I think is 88 to 90% New Year's resolutions last for 12 days. Because if you're like me, you know that you start off strong, but then as you get into it, you've noticed you're making some changes in your life. And then all of a sudden you're back to the Doritos and your Netflix binges and the gym membership goes to waste. Why is that? Why do we do that? Why do we want and desire to make a change and yet we don't? St. Paul gives us some insight. Beautiful. Greg's been talking about the last couple of days about freedom. And he's talking, St. Paul, specifically about freedom for the Gentile Christians from the yoke of slavery to the law. And so without trying to belabor that too much, what St. Paul is saying to the Gentiles, you don't have to be circumcised and abide by the law of Moses to find salvation, right? That's slavery and it doesn't lead anywhere. Salvation is a grace, a gift from God. And he wonders why Gentiles who have believed in Christ and received that grace would then be wavering and want to go back to this, he calls it a yoke of slavery, go back to this Mosaic law for righteousness. Look, he doesn't say they can ignore Moses' law because it matters, but they have to have the mindset that this law does not grant them the grace, the salvation that in Christ that only comes through the gift, the grace of God. Why would you want to go back, St. Paul? And I think let me read the verse. And Greg's been pounding on it all the last couple of days. In Galatians chapter 5, verse 1, for freedom Christ has set us free. Stand firm, therefore, and don't go back. Don't submit again to a yoke of slavery. He's saying, like, look, you used to be pagans. We're slaves to those things. Don't go back to that kind of yoke, that slavery to the law. Let Christ set you free, right? And he doesn't set you free to have a guru or anyone else control you. He sets you free for freedom, right? So we have the choice, the freedom to become and maintain that change in our lives. So the question then, reverting all the way back to the New Year's resolution, why don't we do it? Why do we get stuck in brief attempts at, and valiant attempts, however brief they may be, at change, but then it all fizzles away? I think the answer to that question is that we have adopted an outside-in approach. Like, we want to change things out there so that it'll make a change within here. The problem is, real change, lasting change, only happens in here that we then transition out there. In other words, and forgive me if it sounds like I'm quoting Stephen Covey. I like it. He says it's an inside-out approach. You want real and effective change. You have to be different on the inside. You have to change on the inside. New, entirely new ways of thinking, of doing things. And those different things, the different thought, it's not what the world throws at us, right? This self-fulfilling and selfish mentality. We're supposed to be, really, here's the change, crucifixional. So that everything we do and everything we think about is, how can I, in this very moment, wherever I may be, whatever I may be doing and whomever I may be with, live this moment as if I were imitating Christ to the best of my ability. How can I sacrifice my will and desires to do God's will? And when you do that, you will start to notice, when you do that regularly and with dedication, with discipline, you're going to start to notice some change on the inside because you start to think different. I'm not a good man. I know you all know that, but the more I practice this and the more I try that crucifixional life, the better I feel and hopefully the better I can offer to whomever I may be with in that very moment. And I'm telling you guys, it works. It's hard, but it works. I'm starting to notice a little bit of a change on the inside that's starting to come to the outside. And I'm hopeful and prayerful that with more work and more dedication to it, it will soon become something that's just almost a habit within my life. If you are looking for that same kind of inside-out approach, look, we can help you. We're doing it. I mean, we're doing it ourselves. I'm confessing all my sins and I'm in the midst of the fight. And if you want to join us, join us. warriorsaints.org. So when you subscribe to the Way of the Warrior Saint, you're going to have access to our library that really is focused on solely on the crucifixional life, which means is again it is that sacrifice of my will and desires in order to make room in my heart and my mind for God's will and desire, so that I can heed His commandments unto that inside out change, that New Year's resolution that goes past 12 days but perhaps goes for all 12 months and maybe even into an entire lifetime. We can help you do that if you would just join us. warriorsaints.org. Subscribe to the Way of the Warrior Saint. Pretty simple, totally hard, but totally awesome. Lots of fun. Love you, beautiful people. We're going to be back tomorrow. And as always, keep walking on the way of the Warrior Saint.